day we'll have an episode that doesn't start with Rubik's Cube chat. That day is not today.
Are we on?
Aye,
We are on.
See, just it doesn't happen. We expecting somebody to come in with one of the
clapper
big,
board.
the big clapper boards. So this week we're planning to do the shortest ever episode. So that's it. So that was Bernie. Thanks for watching. That was episode 21.
You and your recycled gags. This is how you started with
I've
Graham
not
as well.
said that before, ever.
The Graham Mackey episode, that's exactly how you started.
Fuck's sake. I hate that. I hate repeating myself.
Right, I'll cut that out.
No, don't cut. No. I'm all about flaws. If I've got
Keep it
flaws,
real.
Keep it real, man. We had a dog in as well. Emma, the dog.
Yeah.
Do you want
Met
to
Emma.
introduce the guest?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You could easily do 20 minutes without referencing that there's someone in the room.
I know.
Yeah, I'm
should-
sitting here like...
We'll do that one day. We'll get a guest and just not talk to them at all.
After you start by going, we're going to do the shortest episode ever this week.
No, but we'll do
What
like,
episode's this, Chris?
We'll get
What are the classics?
We'll get like the biggest guest. Like, obviously, you're our biggest guest. I mean, like as in like personality and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll get like imagine
Thanks for
Good save.
qualifying that. Yes.
But imagine like someday we got like bought Billy Connolly in and we just didn't talk to him. Like we did it for like 2 hours and Billy Connolly was just sitting there.
Just sitting in the corner watching us talking shit.
I do that way. Have you ever been in a pub?
Yes, I have.
You ever been in a pub and you get kind of like cornered out a conversation?
It's never happened to me.
But it's happened to me. Do you ever get that? Do you ever happen to you, Chris?
Aye, look, I'll do it. We've got Bernie this week. Way!
Now you pushed out a conversation. Aye, so we've got Bernie. Casey.
Casey, yeah.
And sorry, Chris was getting frustrated there. I was pushing these buttons there. Look at me, angry Chris.
No such thing.
Yeah, so
Fucking assholes.
Oh, you get the buttons this week. So but the reason I've got Bernie on, right, because Bernie done my workshop. How long ago was that?
January into March.
Was it? Is that how long ago it was?
Yeah.
And now it's sunning. This is like
I know, summertime.
episode. We hadn't even started. We had started the podcast by then, hadn't we?
Yeah, just.
And now we're on episode 21.
Welcome to our 21st birthday.
Aye.
Happy birthday.
Hey!
So I actually done my research today. I knew what episode we were on. I googled it.
It's because we recorded the last one yesterday.
I know I did the last one yesterday. And the reason do you know why I got you on, Bernie? Because you did my workshop as well, but plus you kind of sent me a thing about you're so Bernie's a head. What's your position?
I'm a head teacher
You're a head teacher, but it's
of 2 schools.
fucking
No,
showing
one's
off,
not
man.
good enough. You know,
Aye.
I told you before, I'm a high achiever, you know.
Of course. Sorry,
I know.
can you just pull your mic in a wee touch?
You're just
I'm a
doing
high
that.
achiever.
I know, you're just getting back for all the head teachers that bullied you at school. Like you're like, I'm going to tell this head teacher what to do.
The teachers love me, usually.
And I've got PTSD just because you're a head teacher. 'Cause I remember Mrs. Dockery had me like primary school, Moodiesburn. You know what I done one day, Chris? Right, there was. Did you ever do the thing where you pretended to stick the head in something, but you kick the wall at the bottom?
I remember seeing wee arses do it. I've never done it.
Well, I
Right.
was going to say, I don't know why I'm nodding, because no.
Aye, it was a wee thing when I was at primary school. Like, people were pretending to stick the head in a window, but they were kicking the thing and doing that and go, look at me, you kick the head in the window, but they weren't really.
Look at me.
Look at me, I know, just a daft boy going, hey. And I went up and I went, right, I'll do it for real. And I started to stick my head in this window, but then I get, and the window was a bit shaky, and then I done it at one point and it smashed, and this window just smashed, and I just went, holy fuck.
This explains a lot about how you turned out.
Thanks, Chris. So I ended up Mrs. Dockery's office. So now I feel as if I'm in detention here.
Yeah, well, funny enough, we had a visitor in school today, a grown-up adult, and she told one of my teachers that she didn't want to come into the office because it was the head teacher's office.
Aye.
And I was like, okay, you know, but she's an adult and I'm a human being. But she obviously missed that.
I know, it's just like, you're like when you're at school, the head teacher's like the status, everybody's kind of scared of you.
Was that, you know, that way you hear the high heels clopping down the corridor and everyone shites it?
Aye.
See, that's a different era.
That's right.
Nobody's afraid of me.
Are they
And I
not?
don't wear heels clopping down the corridor.
So how do you deal with your? So is it primary?
Well, I'm primary trained, and but I'm head of 2 schools for kids with additional support needs,
Right.
ASN, and they're both all through primary and secondary. One of them's for kids with quite complex additional support needs, and the other one's more a supported learning centre for kids who need a bit of extra support with their learning, maybe have some social emotional issues.
All right. So what kind of stuff then? Is it what autism and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
almost all the kids in the school for complex needs are somewhere on the autism
Aye.
spectrum, and I'd say the majority in the primary supported learning centre. Kids in the secondary and more kind of social emotional
Right.
stuff going on. So it's a whole range.
Aye, fucking
Whole
hell.
range.
See, I've always thought, I always say this. Let's see, when people tell me that you always get this shit after you do a gig. People say that must be the hardest job in the world. But then I've got somebody like you having to deal with kids with different needs. I was like, holy shit! Like I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
so it's I'm just dealing with drunk people for a couple of
I
hours.
know, but everybody, whatever anybody does, that if they're good at it, they can do it that somebody else can't. But yeah, it's a tough gig sometimes.
Aye,
Being head of 2 schools, especially now with all the cuts and resources and things like that. So,
what's been cut then? These things.
well, teachers in some authorities, support staff in some authorities, management time. Like if I've got in one school, I've got a deputy head and a principal teacher who's kind of head of department, and in the other school, I've got 2 PTs. So in
What's
some
a PT?
principal teacher,
Oh, right,
head of department. So they get a certain amount of management time to be able to deal with all the things that you have to deal with in a school. And if management time is cut, it means that they're more class committed, so there's less time to do those things. So then it falls to the deputy head or to me. So yeah, it's time as well as people.
So it's a lot harder.
It is. It's a lot of juggling about, and there's there's a lot of staff absence. I'm not just talking about my school, but across
the wee bit there, Bernard.
across the country.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Well, I'm the boss. See, I've learned Chris he's been bullying me for about 12 weeks. So
Brilliant.
Yes, we've got a no bullying policy.
I'll
so
tell
not
the head
tolerate
teacher
that.
of you. I was like, excuse me, miss. He's been bullying me. So how long have you been doing that?
Well, I've
Been
been
in teaching world?
Teaching. I went in a wee bit later to teaching, but I've been in teaching for over 30 years, early 90s.
No way.
Yeah.
You're about to say no way, Chris.
Do you need to do it?
I know, sure.
No way, right? No crap there.
So, yeah, over 30 years. I'm actually at the point in my career now where I'm thinking about retirement.
Fucking yes, aye. So is that something you're looking forward to then? Just
Yeah, it
fuck off?
is. I just don't want to go. I want to make sure I go at the right time. I don't want to go too soon. But I don't want to leave it too late either. But yeah, I've got thoughts about retirement. But yeah, I've been in like school leadership for 14 years, since 2010.
Right.
I've had a few roles.
All right. So what I was going to ask you, right? See how did you read the articles Bernie wrote? Like kind of
A wee bit.
a wee bit.
I've been conditioned by TikTok to only deal with reading or looking at something for about 8 seconds. So I had a wee browse. I've not read the whole thing.
You could read for 8 seconds, do something else, come back for another 8 seconds.
And then I get distracted by other things.
Is it worth reading, Opie, would you say?
Aye. Well, because it was kind of about my workshops, a wee bit of my ego was involved in it.
I'll put if you're all right with it, I'll put the link to it in the description of this episode.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I was contacted. I do some work for AHDS, Association of Head Teachers and Deputies in Scotland.
Right.
It's a professional organisation that represents school leaders, primary, ASN, and early years.
Okay, I'll go to that.
And so through them, the editor of the TESS magazine, Times Educational Supplement Scotland,
Aye.
because I have to write in our AHDS magazine every quarter because I'm the president of AHDS.
President as well, eh?
High achiever. So I write every quarter in our magazine, and I mentioned that my kids had bought me a voucher for a stand-up comedy workshop and that I was currently doing that, but I didn't say much else about it. And then the editor of Tez contacted somebody in AHDS to ask me if I would do an article about the stand-up comedy and if it had any influence on, learning and teaching, or my insight into learning and teaching. So I thought, they never asked me, what's your experience as head teacher of 2 schools or as the president of AHDS? But hey,
how was your stand-up
comedy? So I said, yeah, of course, I'll do it. So I wrote it as, well, you've read it, as a new pupil coming in to do a new subject and being a bit sort of, what's this going to be like?
So how did you, when you first come in, how did you feel? Were you kind of going, what's going to go on here? What were you expecting?
In the workshop?
Aye. I mean...
well, first of all, when I opened the voucher on Christmas Day, I thought it was tickets for the stand comedy, a comedy thing at the stand, because, that
apologies that
I said, what? So then, because my kids will get me tickets for things or whatever, and then I read it again. I said, oh no, it's a stand-up comedy workshop that I'm doing, followed by a gig. So I was like, oh wow! But I was up for it straight away. And then the thing that surprised me most,
did you say fuck it? Did you go fuck it?
No.
He said it.
I don't swear a lot, Obi.
No, sorry.
Unlike yourself, you do enough for all of us.
It's going to be the next Michael McIntyre. Keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
So yeah, I mean, I would do my version of feck it. I'm going to do
the
it.
Irish version.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That Father Ted stuff.
Yeah,
feck it.
Well, it's quite a common expression still in Ireland. So yeah, I was up for it straight away. But the thing that surprised me was when my daughter Teresa said that she was doing it as well.
Because it was your other daughter. What was your other daughter called?
Claire.
So Claire, so she booked it for you. But she accidentally booked 2.
Yeah. And then she was going to get a refund, and then Teresa said, I'll do it.
Aye. And so she messaged me going, can I get a refund? I went, go and fuck yourself. No, I didn't say that. No, she said, can I get a refund? I went, aye, you can get a refund, but it has to go through Eventbrite by the time I get back. Don't bother. But then she go back to me the next day and said Teresa was going to do it as well. So
So I thought it was great for Teresa to to build her confidence.
Yep,
I don't really need confidence building skills. I don't know if you noticed that.
I noticed that.
But because I'm game for anybody that says to me, do you want to do this or do you want to go there? I mean, I do say I'll pick it.
We're all doing Jaeger bombs after this.
Sure. I'm not driving anyway.
Yeah, I'm driving back to Prestwick, but hey. So yeah, I suppose I was a bit excited to think, what's a stand-up comedy, because people do say to me, you're funny or you've got a good sense of humour. But
I do a lot of public speaking anyway.
And I do speeches for AHDS, and I always try and make them funny. And people tell me that they're funny. So, but I never thought really about doing stand-up particularly. But once I got the voucher and it said a gig at the end of it, I was thinking, wow, that'll be good crack.
Are you much of a comedy fan outside of having done it?
Not, I would imagine, to the same extent that you two are and all the different comedians that you know, but I do like
he's actually a bigger
good
comedy fan than me, Chris, because you'll tell me about comedians that I've never heard of.
Yeah, I've seen that in some of the podcasts where you've mentioned people that maybe you don't know, and vice versa. But yeah, I mean, I go to some of the big comedy shows. Obviously, I've been to Kevin Bridges several times because we're big fans of Kevin in our house. I've bumped into him at airports a couple of times as well. In fact, one time...
Was he pissed because he likes a baby?
No, I don't think so. He's quite a shy person. I saw him in the Moor one time and I never approached him because I thought he's just a guy out having a pint. But when you're in the same queue for an airplane, and it was always either London to Glasgow or Glasgow to London, I always think, it's okay just to say, can I have a photo so I can send it to my kids? And he's always so nice. But one time I got on, he was ahead of me, and I got on the plane. And you know that way sometimes you sit in the wrong seat. You're supposed to be an A and you're an F.
Are you on the same plane?
Yeah, and he was in my seat. So I had to go and say,
Kevin, get to
Bridges!
Sorry, that's my seat. And I think he was quite affronted as he had to get up and move across to the other side. But he never referred to it in his next comedy show, which I thought he might have. So I could stand up and say, Kevin, that was me.
That was my bit.
So, yeah, and people like Darrow Brain I've seen at the Glasgow Comedy Festival a few years ago. I like his humour. He's quite intelligent humour. Ed Byrne and Jason Byrne, I've seen them. So some of the...
All the Irish guys.
Yeah.
Tommy Tiernan.
What's his name? Oh, he's Irish as well, actually, although he's English. Oh, what's his name?
Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr.
All right.
Yeah. So...
you know what? See the last Jimmy Carr one, I wasn't a big fan of it. And I know that's controversial. I know he's a lot more successful than me, which is fair enough.
He seems to have got very sort of formulaic with his writing.
Aye.
It's like he doesn't seem to hit you with as much of a surprise as you would.
Yeah, and this was a long time ago, and he was doing some quite hard hitting stuff. Because I remember he spoke to a teacher, and she said she taught children with, at that time we said, special needs, and he kind of slated that.
Aye, I mean I've not got a problem with dark stuff. That's fine.
Yeah,
I think he's become so known for that though that he can't take it much further.
Aye,
yeah, he's been doing that for like 10 plus years now. Like I saw him live maybe about 8-9 years ago, and he was doing similar stuff. He happened to be a teacher, like of additional needs or whatever. And he was making these kind of jokes. I don't know how he just picks them out in audience, but
I know.
That's his fan base. Then, isn't it?
I mean, well, he does appeal to everyone, I think. But it's like he's been doing that for so long that it's like every time someone brings out a new special, you expect a bit more from them, but you can't really go much further with that.
It's like pushing boundaries, but then he's pushed all. He's done. He couldn't go any darker. I don't think.
Aye.
It's like Frankie Boyle. He's kind of went the other way. He's done stuff that was a lot horribler than and Jimmy Carr. But he's went quite woke now and kind of he's more political now. And it's kind
maybe
of
just phases that people go through, or like Chris says, they get as far as they can go with one kind of genre and they have to move into something else.
And I think there was like what was his name, Richard Pryor. Remember? Did you ever watch any of his stuff?
Some,
You remember Richard Pryor, right? And he started off like
are you suggesting that Chris might know Chris?
Just because he's a bit old, like a bit younger than. Like I'm getting out of trouble now, right? But he was like, so when he started, apparently, it was very kind of jokey, like comedians obviously, but it was kind of showman-y.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, he used to bounce about all over the place. Yeah,
so it was kind of very kind of like a club.
A Michael McIntyre type character.
Kind of a bit more, maybe a bit like that, but maybe
and loud.
I'm not sure. It's kind of, how you get the kind of the social club circuit. It was all kind of songs and shit. It was all kind of very a kind of formula.
I know what you mean.
So it was all kind of very kind of jokes. There was no meaning behind it. But then, and he was doing a lot of TV stuff. But then he got bitter. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it changed. But then he became political and talking about what he was feeling.
Yeah.
And it was like, my life's fucked, and talking about stuff like he took a heart attack and he'd done stuff about having a heart attack and but getting his heart broken and like real stuff.
Was it funny?
No, it was brilliant. That was his later stuff. That's what he was known for. So it was all real like dark stuff and emotions and smoking crack cocaine and shit like that. And it was like real stuff rather than just like it went from being like a cartoon to being a real guy. Like people, and I think what happens there, a bit like George Carlin as well. He was like real. He was like saying what his thoughts were, what he was thinking politically and stuff. It was like, this is what I fucking think. So it wasn't just it wasn't just being funny. It was being kind of. There was a bit of meaning behind what he was saying, which is different.
Yeah.
Because I think like Jimmy Carr, he's kind of very formulaic. And he keeps saying on podcasts that he wants to be different and more conversationally wise, but the last one I seen, it was the most formulaic I've ever seen him, I think.
And there's not even necessarily much of a, segue between his jokes or anything. It's like he'll do one, get the laugh, reset, start the next one, whereas it's not very, as you say, conversational or flowy. It's just sort of joke after joke.
It's like, but when people love him, I think he's good. But the thing is, it was like, to me, it was like he was more. See if you read a comedy book. There's loads of good books on stand up. They show you the formula how a joke works. He's done all of that perfectly.
Yeah.
But I think comedy to really hit or really make a connection to somebody has to be a bit kind of.
You can master the theory, but there's that extra something that you
a
can't
bit
just
more
learn.
spontaneous.
It needs spontaneous.
Yeah.
It needs kind of flaws. It needs to be imperfect. I think
Yeah.
it needs to be. So if something's too perfect,
It's like music. Like if you hear a band they sound exactly like they do on their album, you're like, what's the point? I could listen to the album.
Aye.
Whereas that sort of human
Simply
aspect
read.
of just
totally.
a group of people playing together that doesn't just sound like a perfectly recorded album that's been all altered
Well, I
digitally
went to
and
see
stuff.
Simply Red once, and I thought they sound exactly like you're listening to the
So it was
CD or whatever, but I thought they were brilliant.
aye.
I like that to an extent. Like you go to some shows and you'll hear somebody be like, "Oh, it was brilliant. It sounded just like the album." Whereas I look
Because
for
you're a
that.
musician, though.
I've been
Yeah.
to however many hundreds, maybe thousands of gigs, and for me, I'm like, right, if they sound like the album, that's the bare minimum of what
Yeah.
I'm looking for. I'm looking for that extra
Yeah.
level.
Aye.
Of-
See the
of
back
live
crowd
music.
work and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I suppose the musical equivalent to crowd work, which is kind of playing off the audience
Yeah.
and incorporating
Yeah.
them. But yeah,
So there was a thing I was reading. There's a good book, comedy. What's it called? I'll get it, but there's a book I'm reading now about writing stand up. Adam Bloom,
Right.
which is a good book. Adam Bloom, and he talks about boom mic moments, which kind of means, like, you know, when you're watching a movie and you see the mic coming down,
Yeah.
and it takes away the magic. You kind of know it's just a movie,
Yeah.
but you're kind of engrossed in the thing.
it's something that breaks that
Yeah.
fourth wall.
Aye,
type
so
thing.
it's like breaking the fourth wall. So if you see a comedian being very formulaic and you go, fuck, you know, he kind of know it's just jokes and he feel that. And there was an example he spoke about. I think it was Chris Rock years ago. I think it was Chris Rock, I might be wrong, and he done like a special, but his special was filmed. I don't know if you've ever seen it at different gigs.
Aye, I have seen that. And Shane Todd did a similar thing.
Yeah.
Quite recently,
I
where he did
like
it.
Shane Todd
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
So he said it was filmed at different gigs. So what they did, like, done big theatres because he's Chris Rock, big theatres, and you see them doing the material, and like every joke was perfect. The way he done it, his delivery was perfect. So he'd be in the middle of like a bit, and then all of a sudden he'd have a black suit on, and then it was just change, like
It
just
would like cut to a different show.
cut to a
from doing
different show, but it was just flow.
Yeah.
And when I seen that, I kind of thought, oh man, it was good, but I felt as if there wasn't that connection there, you know, because it was that perfect.
And you don't get to see him build up like a connection with one audience because it
Aye.
keeps changing. And there's
Yeah.
different energy in each room every night.
Aye, so he was like that perfect, and that's what Adam Bloom mentioned. I mean, I fucking get that, you know. So I think, you know, that's how, I mean, if it becomes too perfect,
Yeah.
it kind of takes it away.
I know, because sometimes if something unexpected happens and you're
Aye.
out of that kind of thinking what I'm going to say next, some of the things that you can say off the cuff are funny, and
Aye.
that kind of endears the audience to you
Oh, totally, aye.
when they think, oh, that obviously wasn't scripted.
Aye, but then if we go to another show, the exact same thing, I was going,
I know. But when you're asking there about comedians, obviously now I've seen a lot of comedians that I would never have seen before, and new people like me, and you know, people who are less well known that I would have maybe seen at gigs, but I don't necessarily remember who they are, because you remember all the big names. But now it's really interesting to see all the different styles. Like,
It's amazing.
You could have 10 people on a gig and everybody has a different style.
Aye, and it's styles you don't see, you know, and like it's just so. We'll go back to you. We went off on a tangent as we do, right? So you that article you wrote, you said how you kind of said how you change how you think teaching should be or
Yeah.
something. So explain that then.
Well, when they asked me to write the article and they said, will you write something about your stand-up? So I said, yeah, because I thought, well, I can write about, you know, going, learning how to do stand-up and doing a gig and all that. And then they said, what impact has that had on your approach to learning and teaching? So that made me kind of stop and think about it a bit, because I never thought of it in that way till they asked me to do that. And then I thought, well, I was a new pupil going in there. So when I wrote it with the kind of language that we would use in school. You know, I was talking about peer assessment and that kind of thing. We would talk about that in school, and children do.
Like with the jargon that you would use.
Like peer assessment is just kids giving an opinion on something that somebody else in the class has done. And saying, oh, this could be better if they did this, or I like this bit best. And we did a lot of that in the workshop, and I think that was really one of the best bits of it, where there was a lot of feedback. And also when you were given feedback, it was always encouraging. You never ever said to anybody, that was crap, what you think?
Please don't come back next week.
Once your face kind of said, not to me, to somebody else, what you doing? But apart from that... It was always encouraging, and it was always fun. You know, you knew that every week you were going to get a wee bit further on and putting a set together or learning something about how to do comedy.
See, I find it difficult if somebody like isn't getting it. I find it difficult to say, fuck's sake, man, what are you doing? It doesn't happen, because I believe that everybody can learn.
Yeah, and everybody in that workshop did.
Aye.
You know, and I heard you talking about your set, Chris, as well in one of the podcasts, and kind of self-deprecating, but your set was brilliant on the night.
Thank you.
It was really funny. Yeah.
Because
you were one of the people during the workshop that wasn't 100% confident from week to week.
Yeah, the first... Well, how long was it? 7 weeks we did it?
6.
Yeah, well...
we've done an extra.
But I would say for like the first 4, I still didn't feel even just comfortable getting up and talking in front of the class, never mind actually then trying to work on my material.
It just kind of comes, didn't it, the last few weeks?
I forget what week it was, but there was one where I got up and I think I was just confident enough in my material by this point that it all kind of came together.
And it was a turning point. Yeah. And also for me, because I don't really suffer from nerves... Like if I'm going for an interview,
she's a high achiever.
If I'm going for an interview for some high achieving job, I'm fine when I'm.
You've got on your golden CV that you've got.
When I'm thinking about it and thinking what might they ask me and what might I say, I'm fine. But for maybe 5 or 10 minutes sitting outside the room before they call me in, I think, oh God, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this?
That voice starts, doesn't it?
And you get the nerves and everything. Then you go in and it feels like it's over in 10 minutes, you know, even if it's half an hour or an hour, whatever. So I don't tend to get nervous a long time before things. And those wee bit of nerves before you go up, I think, are always helpful.
Oh, totally, aye.
But seeing other people who, even in the workshop where we were all really encouraging each other and supporting each other, to know that people were sitting there with their stomach churning to go up and do a wee bit at the workshop. I just thought, people are so different from each other.
No, it's scary. I get it. Like, I've been there when I started, I remember. I mean, I always thought, like, I thought I can be funny. But then I done like Viv's course years ago, which you're doing now, and even just doing it in front of the class, I thought, holy shit.
Yeah, and Viv's course that I'm doing now is a bit different from yours because there's an expectation that everybody's done a bit of comedy.
It's an advanced course she's done.
So, and one of the reasons I thought I'll do it is because my set has gone down well at most gigs that I've done.
Because you're a high achiever.
Yeah.
I wonder what this episode's going to be called.
The high achiever.
I'm getting to the point now I'm an overachiever. But yeah, there was one gig where there were students, and I talk a wee bit about growing up and going to school in the north of Ireland during the Troubles, and their faces tell me what were the troubles. It's like they don't know. I've thought of another way now that I can describe that in language that maybe they understand.
Alright, so how would you describe that then?
Well, I would just say something like it's sort of Rangers versus Celtic with Semtex or something like that.
That's good. That's simple.
Yeah.
Aye.
So and then they probably think, what's Semtex? So
nah, they all play Call of Duty. We all know what Semtex is.
Of course. So so I thought, and I like the set that I have that I developed in the workshop with you, but after that gig, I thought I need to have another bit up my sleeve so that if I go to a gig and I think they're not going to get it, I've got something else to draw from. So that's that's making me a wee bit nervous, because when I went to do your workshop, I was doing it from scratch. Whatever I was going to do was going to be what I was doing on stage.
Aye.
Whereas now I'm thinking I'd like to have something a bit different. I'm not sure yet exactly what that's going to be.
Aye.
And then there's a wee bit of me that says, but your other set is good. Why he's changing it? But I need to do that, and we need to stretch myself a wee bit.
Aye.
So
The thing is, like you can still, what you can do with the set you've got, you can tweak it. There's still bits that I've got for years ago, and like there's bits that I've kind of done years ago that I've just dropped and I've just forgot about, and somebody will remind me, and then it'll become a new bit. It'll be totally different to how I've done it before.
Yeah,
because somebody like, I don't know if you see the bit I do about the was it the reincarnation, that daft bit with horses.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that a wee while ago. He said it used to be a wee kind of one-liner.
It was a wee one-liner. It came back in again, and it became like a whole 5-minute bit, which is just ridiculous. It was just a wee one-liner I done years ago, and somebody reminded me. I went, "Oh, that could fit in with this."
And I mean, I've already done that in my original set, tweaked wee bits and changed lines, and you know, that's just what happens naturally.
You find that as you do it, like sometimes you find at a gig, like it's good to ask other comedians for feedback and stuff. If I've asked somebody on stage, or even if they see me, you see a wee line, or you see a line and people go, "See that wee bit? You could add a wee tag onto that," and they'll give you, "All right, aye."
Yeah,
that's what I liked about the workshop, because we do that after every single person goes up and does it, and then we spend, you know, the same if not more time doing exactly that. What was the word? Peer assessment.
Peer assessment.
There we go.
Yes.
Peer assessment. There was I done a gig with Ross. Well, I was at a gig a couple of weeks ago. Roscoe McClelland.
Oh yeah,
Roscoe, a very good comic, right? And have you seen Roscoe?
The name rings a bell, but I've seen comedians that I can't even remember their name now.
He's
but
very good. He's nuts. I can't remember what the bit was about, but he done a bit. He asked somebody something in the audience who said a line to answer him, and he went, "That's a fucking good tag. Can I have that?" So it was basically like an add-on to the material they had. That's funny as fuck, and he wrote it down.
Yeah.
So he was kind of trying stuff out.
We were doing that with Viv on Sunday there, heckling.
All right.
So I mean, it was a kind of manufactured situation, and we knew that we were going to be heckled or that kind of thing. But it was a good exercise as well, because you had to kind of try and think of something to say back on the spot. So
do you know what I see it like? You know, like people kind of go, I can't interact, or they can't deal with audiences and stuff. I was like, well, but you do it every day. When we do this podcast, we have never sat down and said we need to write a podcast.
No.
Yeah.
Like we do like an hour and a half.
Yeah, but come in, you at most will have one wee prompt. Like last week we're going to talk about jobs we've had. And that's the extent of
last week. It was yesterday.
I'm trying to keep the illusion up.
Oh, right, there was a boom mic moment. Aye,
White van.
Can you speak anymore? So you can't. My brain's went there. Aye, so it's like when you're out speaking, you're in the pub with your mates, like you're talking to your family, you're having a laugh, and you don't plan any of that.
Yeah.
So I think being good on stage with that is being getting in a stage where you're comfortable enough. You're treating it like just being in with your mates. Although you've got your material, but you know you can like I've got like a backbone of material. That I've got I've got my stuff, and I've got bits that I can go to when I want, but then I can just fuck about because I'm comfortable doing it. That took years of doing it.
Yeah.
You know, so I could go, right, let's just talk. But if I run out of steam, I just go, right, here's a bit of material.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking as well about doing the other class. It gives you just more to draw from.
Aye.
Also, because I'm thinking about retirement, it'll give me more time to do comedy.
So how many gigs have you done now, Bernie?
5.
Have you only done 5?
Yeah, because I was away for my holidays for a couple of weeks, and then I was away with work for a week. So I had 3 weeks where there was a chunk of time out of it. And then once I started Viv's gig, I thought I'll just wait now to that gig.
And do Viv's gig. So when's Viv's gig? And plug Viv's gig as well.
26th of May in Blackfriars of Bell Street.
Very
7
nice.
o'clock start.
That's worth going
Tickets
to.
are £5 plus. I think there's a small booking fee, and that's the money. All the proceeds are going to Homeless Scotland charity.
All right, cool. And Black
There's
Friday,
15 or 16 of us, I think, so it should be a good night.
it's always busy, and it's like Black Friars is an amazing gig.
Yeah.
I done my first ever gig there years ago. It's a better setup now the way it was years ago, but I done my first gig after Viv's course 25 years ago. Holy shit.
It's a good venue. I've been quite a lot.
Aye. You seen Kevin Bridges in there, didn't you?
I did. A wee surprise. I didn't know he was going to be there.
Oh, that's right.
That was at one of the Some Laugh shows. That was good.
You went to that and Kevin Bridges turned up as like a special guest.
Yeah. If that happened to me, I'd say, do you remember the time you were sitting in my seat there?
Yeah, cheeky bastards. So what do you like now that you're kind of, you've done 5 gigs, what do you want to do with it? Like, do you want to kind of pursue it a bit more? Or?
I do. I mean, I enjoy doing it.
Aye.
And I want to do it more. It's just because work and
That's my excuse.
travel,
I know.
travel gets in the
Because you're
way
a
of it
jet
as
setter,
well.
Bernie.
A wee bit.
Aye,
a wee
that's
bit.
nothing wrong with it. You do gigs abroad as well.
Aye, well, I'll keep my eye out the next time I'm away somewhere if there's an opportunity.
Aye. You should, like, if you're going somewhere, I mean, because I know some in Germany and stuff like that. So if you're ever
Right.
going somewhere, let me know, and if I know
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
It's
well,
just even a wee 5-minute spot. It's worth doing, and you learn.
yeah, I will. I'll look into that actually, but a lot of them at the moment are Sunday nights, which is
Right.
a pain when most of them for me are around Glasgow area. So I have to
Aye.
go up to Glasgow and then travel home, and then you're getting up for work the next day.
It's a bit of a trek.
But I mean, it hasn't put me off. I've done those, and
Aye.
Viv's is a good one because it's a bank holiday weekend, so we're off on the Monday, so
Oh, right.
that'll be good. But yeah, I want to keep doing it,
Aye.
and I'm
So
enjoying
is
it. And,
the plan once you retire, just go full time comedy?
well,
And you have your Netflix
I can't
special.
go full time comedy because then I wouldn't be able to. Well, I would be able to travel, I suppose. But yeah, my travel's my first thing that I enjoy doing. So I will be fitting it in around that.
So you could, once you're travelling, you can.
Yeah, yeah,
See, the only travelling I've done over the last few years is with comedy, which has been good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been to Australia and stuff doing gigs and like Germany. I've only been away for a few years, but it's good. It's
Yeah.
usually, and I think you can always find open spots. Maybe like if you go to America or something like that, you go to America, New York's quite big for comedy.
In the summertime, I'm going away a couple of places, but I can't. One of them possibly there would be something on route, but one of them possibly not.
Aye.
It was out in the wilderness,
Where are you going?
going to Greenland. To
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
See Santa Claus.
no, that's Lapland.
Oh, all right, sorry.
No, we're going to kayak round the fjords in
All right, what
Greenland.
does that mean?
Kayak
Oh, kayak round the. I know what
fjords.
What does that mean? Oh, yachts.
No, kayak around the fjords.
What's a fjord?
It's the wee jaggy bit around Greenland in this
I
case.
didn't know what a fjord means. Do you know what a fjord is?
Yeah.
No, you
It's
don't.
where the water.
I do it, but you
It's
get
where
like
you get them in Norway. They're famous ones in Norway. It's where the land kind of comes out and in, and then the water goes in between. Those are fjords.
That you have
They
made
come
this
in
word
off
up.
no.
Aye, have you've googled?
I've always wanted a Fjord Mustang.
No, fuck this. This is a new word. I've not heard that before.
FJORD fjord.
See, that's not even a real word. Like, you're a
It's
teacher.
probably from the Norwegian.
You
or
can't have an
something,
F and a J together. That doesn't work. There's no
You
words.
can.
Is that not one of ABBA's
in-
names?
In one of the
Bjork.
yeah.
Similar.
She's from
So
Iceland.
those Nordic languages have F's and J's together.
All right.
And then are there not some umlauts involved as well? Over the O?
Oh, then he's making more
yeah,
words up.
possibly in Denmark. I think they
I've
use
heard of
umlauts.
it. I've heard of it. The German thing, innit?
Yeah.
See, I'm not stupid. Do you know what I'm quite proud of? I'm quite proud of owning up that I don't know things sometimes.
Aye, good on you.
Do you know what? Because sometimes people go, I don't know what that is, but I don't want to look stupid and they won't say it.
Aye.
I'm quite going, listen, I don't know what that means.
That's what I always say to kids. If you don't know, you have to ask because otherwise you won't know.
Aye, yeah,
and you're
always.
probably more likely to look more and more daft as time goes on if you don't ask.
Aye.
So, yeah, ask the question.
Exactly.
What's the fjord? What's the fjord?
You could have made that a problem for me. You laughed at me for not knowing that. That could have ruined the rest
Yes,
of
and
my life.
if that
I
was in
wasn't
the
laughing.
class, I would have said, Chris, that's not kind.
Yeah,
Oh, that takes me right back to school.
I could have spent the rest of my life not asking questions and not. This could be the last day that I learn anything.
I wasn't laughing at the fact you didn't know it. I was laughing at you being like, "Yosh."
It was a crazy Northern Irish accent. I didn't understand it.
Oh, God, getting
It's
racist
not
now.
bad. It's not. Your accent's not that strong, is it?
You've not lost your accent.
No.
Oh, that was a good bit of material.
How do you know I haven't lost my accent?
It's in Tesco. That's a callback.
It was Sainsbury's.
I know, Sainsbury's. Come on. Tesco,
sorry.
Sainsbury's. Yeah. No, I haven't lost my accent, but it is probably a bit modified because when I go home, as I still talk about going home to Ireland, even though I've lived here for well over 30 years now.
Yeah.
At home, they say, "Oh, that's very Scottish, what you just said," or there's a hint of Scots. And I remember one time reading at a funeral, and somebody introduced me to a person afterwards, and she said, "Oh, I thought it was you when I heard the Scottish accent."
Oofed.
And I thought, okay, it's a funeral, I'm not going to make a big thing of this, but
You
hey,
waited
my
till after-
accent's not Scottish.
You waited at the wake and you booted them right in the balls.
No, that didn't happen, Opie.
Thank-
She would have probably been very surprised by that. So anyway, yeah. So because I've been here a long time,
Aye.
you know, my accent's probably modified, and I don't tell a lot of people this, but I actually had an English accent for the first few years.
Oh, we
a
wouldn't have
small
invited
number
her
of
along.
years of my life.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So where did you live in England?
Romford in Essex.
All right.
I'm an Essex girl.
Oh, did you speak? How long were you there for?
I was 4.5 when we came home to Ireland because my mum and dad are both Irish.
Oh, you were 4.5. So you hit. All right.
Is that right? Yeah.
Because I did you ever pick up accents if you're away somewhere for a week or something?
No. I mean, I'll do it like as a joke. Like if
Yeah.
I'm on holiday in
Yeah.
America, I'll like join in
Yeah.
for a
I-
laugh.
I
Or
was-
sometimes, see if they can't understand me, especially in America, I'll just order like them.
So I've done it, like I've come back from Australia and stuff like that, and saying no worries for about a month after it to
Yeah.
everybody, no worry, but not quite the accent. I'll
Yeah.
say the kind of
I've spent the last 2
No
days
worries.
in Belfast, and a lot of people have been saying dead on
Dead on. That's
And-
a very Northern Irish thing.
and
Aye.
100%.
Aye,
100%.
100%. Yes. And sometimes when I go home and I hear some sayings that I haven't heard for a long time, or because people don't say them over here, it just makes me laugh. I remember one time when I went home and my sister was talking about somebody, and somebody mentioned something that he'd done, and she said, "Oh, sure, his head's cut." And I hadn't heard that expression
does
for a
that
long
mean
time.
then?
It means, "Oh, sure, he's mad."
oh, his head's cut. Aye.
And that's a very Northern Irish saying, and I hadn't heard
Aye.
it for a long time, so it just made me laugh and laugh uncontrollably.
That's
I
mad,
haven't
isn't it?
heard
Like
it for so
this-
long.
Like everywhere, like even in Scotland, there's so many different things that you say that you probably know now, but you wouldn't
Yeah.
have known years ago.
Yeah,
I can't remember any off my,
I know,
off, off my
I was
head.
gonna say.
There's loads of wee phrases that.
yeah, yeah. Because I've got another friend who is originally from Ireland as well, and she hasn't lived here as long as me. And sometimes I have to translate for her the Scottish isms.
Aye.
She doesn't always get them. But I was around a lot of Scottish people, I suppose, and my children, they all are Scottish.
Aye.
Um,
And Teresa done
well,
a bit-
Teresa was born in Belfast actually, but she was a baby when we came over
Aye.
here.
I was a baby once.
Just once.
Just once a long time ago, for about a year. So I was going to ask you, like, so do you think education has to change a bit then? I mean, like some ways, or what? For general, or
Education has changed a lot,
Right.
and one of the things I think that COVID proved to everybody is that schools do a lot more than than just teach children
Aye.
knowledge, because it became apparent then all the things that schools do, and I think it's because we're a captive audience. Other agencies like social work and health services and everything think, oh, well, they're in school, we'll catch them in there. So they send everything to us to kind of implement in school. And so schools have changed a lot, and they're more sort of not community focused, but a lot of those things happen in schools now that maybe didn't
Aye.
years ago. And the curriculum has changed. It's had to, because especially in the past 20 odd years, the way technology and smart
So what's different now then? Is it?
I can hardly remember when I first came into teaching what people did, because we didn't have computers. There was no email.
All right.
You know, in the early 90s. I
What's
remember.
an email?
You'll find it in the dictionary just before fjord. So head teachers there used to be vans that went round each local authority from school to school with trays of envelopes with letters and information, and head teachers signed to say they'd got things, and then the van moved on, and we got information as teachers in classrooms sent on a piece of paper that you had to tick and say you'd seen it. So now, and obviously for children as well, everything in the class is technology based. There's interactive whiteboards, there's iPads, there's laptops. So it has changed a lot, but there's still, there's a lot more outdoor learning now as well. It used to be everything was in rows, sitting, the teacher talking, the children learning.
So it was all very kind of structured.
Yeah. So now there's more outdoor learning, and our kids, especially in ASN schools, will go out to maybe go to a supermarket, do some shopping, come back and cook things, because there's a focus on life skills for them as well.
Cool,
but still in what are still called mainstream schools, especially secondaries, it's still a very exam-focused curriculum. And no matter what people say about achievement as well as attainment, in a lot of schools there's a focus on attainment, getting qualifications and going on to university. Positive destinations can be anything that meets the needs of any young person, but there's still a focus on that as being further education or training.
And going to uni doesn't necessarily mean success, does it?
No. And there's a lot of children, young people that in my schools won't go anywhere near uni or even college. Some of them will go to college. Some of them will go to for kids with complex additional support needs, there's very little for after school, which is a thing that I have a kind of bee in my bonnet about, that I wrote in my thesis. Did I mention I'm a doctor?
There we go. So can we read that somewhere?
Yeah, I think I sent the link.
I think it's in our WhatsApp.
Yeah, Theo wanted it. I can resend it. And also, if I ever email you, I think I did. I emailed you the article, I think. At the bottom in my signature is the link, because the idea is you write this, you make recommendations, and then you send it out to people so that somewhere people pick it up and maybe it'll make a difference.
Aye.
I'll put that in the description as well.
So I was going to ask you, there is something that... What right? Just a thing that I think for a thing. What do you think? Is there anything that schools, not just your kind of school, any kind of education system should teach that they don't? Like, I mean, like I sometimes say, if I look back, because I remember there was like a girl I know who used to teach. She used to teach in schools acting.
Right? Yeah,
she used to do kind of acting stuff. And she had her own company, and she used to get about doing kind of acting workshops and stuff like that for kids.
Yeah.
And she went into one school one day, right? And the teachers kind of wonder about one guy, one of the pupils. I mean, keep an eye on him. He can be a troublemaker. So one of the pupils, and I think they said that after the class, I mean, was Stephen all right, whatever his name is, and they went, who? Said, did you get any bother for that guy? And they went, who do you mean? I went, this guy here. And I went, he was the best.
Aye.
And it was just like in like a normal kind of class environment, the rows kind of getting taught from the teacher, kind of talking. He couldn't, that's not the way his brain worked. But there was a workshop where he could get to express himself in whatever way he could. He thrived.
Yeah.
So
there are children who the sort of literacy and numeracy subjects are difficult for them, but they do thrive with those kind of drama and music. And there are music teachers in schools, which is great, but I'm sure there are schools that have drama as well. as a subject. But when my granddaughter was picking her subjects for Nat 4s or 5s, actually, she's doing next year, there were things like photography, travel and tourism, and I mean, media studies has been around for a long time. So subjects have changed over the years. You know, I thought photography is a brilliant thing to do, travel and tourism. You know, I never had those options.
Did you have subjects like that at school? I don't think I had anything that.
We didn't have photography, which I would have probably done if I had the option at the side of that. We had drama, but our school only got a drama teacher like towards the end of my time there. So like only the last year or two.
Nothing like that. I'd have loved that because I was quite shy at school. And like I always had the kind of comedy thing that I wanted to do, but I was scared to tell anybody. But if I'd done a drama class, I'd have loved that.
Yeah. And another subject that's kind of been reduced across the country and even in universities is modern languages. And I think it's because people are able to translate so easily that you don't need as many people who are skilled and fluent in foreign languages or whatever. So
you can learn that online.
Yeah.
See, that's something I didn't do at school, learn languages, because I didn't think it was that
we don't even really need to learn it now. There's all these apps that if you're abroad, you just talk into it in English, hold it up, and it translates it and speaks
I
to
still
the
like to learn the language. That should be on a bucket list for me.
Well, that's what because I do, as we know, I do travel a lot, and
you should have said.
Yes. I mean, my kids are growing up. I feel like I have to justify why I travel a lot. My kids are growing up, and I've got time to do it, holiday time and that. But it's just a thing I've always loved to do. You know, even when I was at school, and I didn't realise that when I was doing geography and reading about people in different countries and thinking, I wonder what that's like, that was kind of the start of it. And my favourite book, I was telling one of my grandkids the other day, my favourite book at school was an atlas, and it was a big hardbacked book, and I used to just look at the maps. And now in my house I've got maps and globes all over the place.
Remember, like you had to drive somewhere, you had to use an atlas.
Yeah.
Remember that? You had to go through, you had to start, you had to write it all out, work it out.
Yeah.
You'll not remember that, Chris?
No, not obviously my time of driving, but like I remember my parents and my grandparents having to doing it when I was wee.
So I still,
and then you stick the postcode in your phone.
Yeah, I know, it's so easy. But now, wherever I go, I always try and have the basics. I mean, I've got a bit of some European languages that I can speak a bit, you know, get yourself from A to B.
Buy a beer.
Dos cervezas, por favor. Zwei Bier, bitte. But if I'm somewhere that's not a common language, as in well known, I always try and say please and thank you, yes and no, hello, goodbye, and it goes a long, long way. You know, especially in countries where people tend not to speak those languages, like tourists.
I just say thank you, like Dankeschön in Germany. That's all I know.
Yeah,
in Germany.
And if you're in some of the Southeast Asian countries, if you do the Kop Kun Ka, they like that.
What do you say?
Well, Thailand, Kop Kun Ka means thank you.
All right.
I forget what it is in Indonesian, but
cheers.
No, I learn the words, speak them when I'm there. I actually usually ask a taxi driver, how do you say this? How do you say that? And they'll tell me, and then I'll use it while I'm there, and then I forget it when I leave.
Yeah. There's a lot of countries that speak English, though, isn't there? There seems to be quite a lot.
Yeah. In Europe, you don't need to speak another language.
Which I've always felt guilty for. It just makes us look stupid. Do you speak any languages?
Nah, I did like basic French and German in school, and then never went any further.
Aye.
But I still, even though everywhere you go in Europe, because they all learn it at school, and it's the language of the European Parliament is
English.
The European Commission is English. So even though everybody speaks English, I still say, you know, hello, goodbye, please and thank you if I'm in France or Germany or Italy, because I can. High achiever.
High achiever, knows all the languages.
We need a high achiever button here.
Have you got one?
Nah.
Just put the Limmy one.
He said it.
That's all we got. So what else you got, Bernie? How long have we done? Is that an hour?
Just under, aye.
Under an hour, aye. So what's your plans now? I was going to ask you what you got to plug, but you've just got the Viv's gig coming up, aren't you?
Yes, Viv's gig coming up. I mean, I'm still working full time. I'm looking forward to the 28th of June.
Oh, is that when the schools are off
Because
6 weeks?
Not that you're counting.
7.
Fucking hell, man, that's brilliant.
Honestly, it is absolutely needed. I know everybody says, "Oh, teachers, you're never at the school," and all that stuff.
True though.
It is a hard gig.
Oh, I can imagine that. Because Graham Mackey, like we had on, he's a teacher as well.
Oh, right.
And he says they all get steaming, they all get pissed. See the last day when you let the pupils go, you go, fuck it. Do you have a carry out in the
Oh,
the
God,
school?
you'd be sacked for that these
But
days.
once the kids are away,
No, you're not allowed alcohol on the premises
No.
at all. So most school staff tend to go out and just get steaming.
So what's the procedure? You send all the pupils home and then you get changed, you go to the pub.
Probably don't even bother stopping to get changed.
I can always tell it when it's the end of term. My mum works in a nursery. I can always tell. Like, she never drinks, but there's like twice a year where she'll be like,
Christmas
"Can you
probably, and
Christmas and summer?" I
yeah.
always get a wee text.
Yeah.
Could you pick me up from Spoons?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the end of the term.
Is that like New Year's Day for teachers?
Yeah, it is absolutely like, oh my God, you know,
And
the holidays are here.
When do you start feeling the dread of going back? Is it about week 5?
I
Remember
don't.
that, going back to school?
Yeah,
you seen all the back to school stuff and shops.
Tesco,
Yeah, that's right. When I'm on holiday in the summertime, I try and switch off completely and not think about going back to work. So it'll bug me if somebody messaged me and says, "Oh, did you see that email from so and so?" And I think, no, because I'm not in my work email because I'm on holiday.
Oh, fucking right.
Or I have a friend who used to, she's a head teacher as well, and she would text me and say, "Oh, I can't believe 2 weeks of the holidays have gone. We've only got 5
Oh,
of these."
fuck, I hate that, man.
And I said to her one time, "Stop doing that. Some people only have 2 weeks. We still have 5 weeks or 4 weeks left or whatever it was." Because I like to enjoy the time that I have, and I don't really think about going back until, you know, the
Week
week
3.
the week that you're due to go back. Or
It's
I
like
try not to, you know, but
It's like when you were saying when you were working in the warehouse and you would be an arsehole telling everyone what time it was every 10 minutes. Like counting down.
I was like, what?
Yeah,
It was a factory job. There was one day I spent telling a wee guy that was sitting across from me at the time. I told him the time every 10 minutes.
that would drive you nuts. But I don't do the countdown. I mean, I know that the holidays are happening on the 28th of June, but I don't know how many days or even how many weeks it is until then.
Oh, my mum counts it from like the day they go back. She's like,
I know somebody that does, it's 290 days till the summer holidays when we go back in August. And I'm like,
Shut the fuck up, man.
So I don't like to do that. And even with holiday weekends, I come in and I look at my calendar and think, oh, next week's a holiday weekend. So I'm not counting down. I don't think that's healthy. Because you have to come in and do the job every day.
You need to live in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying it's a tough gig, but I love what I do. And that's why I haven't retired already, because I still enjoy doing it. I just don't feel that I'm ready to retire yet.
Because you're not like, so you could retire if you wanted then.
Yeah.
So
I am that age. I have a bus pass.
Yes.
I know.
But she
Hard to
drove,
believe.
but she's got a bus pass, but she drove here because she's a high achiever
Yes.
in her car.
I think there's a direct bus from
Well, I was going to
Prestwick to
say
Cumbernauld.
the amount of roundabouts you have to negotiate coming up here. So the bus, I would probably still be on the bus.
You did about 55 buses.
Yeah,
So can you
that's the
get a bu-
downside of public transport, especially buses.
Aye.
It can take a long time, but I quite enjoy when I get the opportunity using my bus
A free
pass.
bus.
Yeah,
You don't get free trains though, do you?
Well, somebody told me the other day you get a third off, but I think that's probably off a full return rather than one of the day returns or whatever.
Can you imagine the excitement when Kenny gets his bus pass?
Kenny
do every
He'll never
route.
be off the bus.
He's bus staffed. Bus
Yeah.
staffed, Kenny.
No, I'm always waiting for a bus driver to turn around and say, "Are you sure that's your bus pass? You haven't borrowed it off somebody?"
Aye.
But that hasn't
He's not done
happened
it yet.
That's time yet.
So you show me your bus pass and I'll go, no way. How can a high achiever be that age?
So yeah, so it is funny to think now, after all those years in teaching and all the things that I've done, that I am now starting to think about.
What you're going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's a good place to end, Chris.
I was about to step into some fuck it listing.
The fuck it list, right? Aye.
Or fake it.
The fake it list.
Sorry.
So if you had a fake it list, what would you have on it? You get off 5 or whatever. If you stuff you wanted to do that you go.
I'm already somebody that doesn't like to turn down opportunities. So if somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, would you like to do a stand-up comedy workshop?" I'll say, yeah.
Right, so that's not something you wanted to do, but it was like a...
it wasn't on my list to do, but it was... When it was presented to me, it was like, oh yeah, this is a good thing to do. And the travelling thing, because, I just decide I want to go somewhere and say, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go.
Fuck it. She said it.
So let me think, what else? I think when I retire, which is probably in the not too distant future, it's just that time that you have during the week. I mean, I don't know what it's like to have time during the week.
What happens during the week?
Apart from the school holidays.
Aye.
You can watch like Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah, I think to myself, I'll have a day where I go and maybe climb a Munro, or because I've climbed a few Munros. High achiever. only 7, so not that high of achiever. Although they are high, 6. Obviously, Munros.
More than 7's more than 6.
It is, and they are high Munros.
They're quite high.
So I'd like to do a bit more of that. I'm trying to think of something kind of off the radar that I would think, oh God, I'd love to do
Acting
that.
or something, or maybe a bungee jump. Would you do a bungee jump?
I don't think I'd do a bungee jump, not because I'm afraid of the bungee jump and the height, but because I'm afraid that all my blood vessels will burst and something awful will happen to me. But I would jump out of a plane, probably.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've always said I'd far more rather do a skydive than a bungee.
I see. I'm the same. I actually done one years ago, 30 odd years ago. Done a parachute jump in Auchterarder, Perth. Perth, up that way.
So I would do that. The other thing, actually, that I've thought about for a while, and I haven't done it, but I think I might, but I don't know exactly what it'll be. Is get a tattoo.
Oh yes. Ooh. So what would you get?
Probably something like a globe or something to
right
do
on your
with
forehead.
Possibly not.
Where would you get it? Just on your arm or something?
Or here.
Just in a tattoo shop.
Billy.
Yeah. Yes, a globe or something to do with...
Oh, travelling?
Because I've got a lot of maps and globes at home. I just like looking at them and looking at places. And
why don't you start getting them like in places while you're there to commemorate?
I did think of that. I was in Bali not long ago, and every time you walk down the street, people shout at you, tattoo, or...
They don't seem like people that should be trusted to tattoo you, right?
Yes, or
somebody had the little flyers on a tattoo.
Or taxi bike, and you have to think, oh, they're not throwing misogynistic insults at me, they're offering me a mode of transport.
Aye. These wee bikes with the bits of back,
So I did actually go and look, but I thought, no, I need to think about this more. I don't want to do anything impulsive. But I probably will get one.
A tattoo?
Yeah.
I'd quite like to... I've never been to Japan. I quite fancy it. And I like you can get like Japanese, very traditional hand-hammered tattoos rather than just like a...
Hand-hammered? So
it's like a wee needle that they like hammer in to
when
tattoo
my daughter was in... it might have been Bali, actually, a couple of years ago. She got one, I think it was bamboo or something that they use. But it's not the traditional... Well, what we think of the traditional ink thing. Whatever that is. So I might do that.
So get a tattoo, do a parachute
jump out of a plane, with a parachute.
You didn't clarify that.
And preferably with another person, the two people jump.
Oh, well, the thing is you could do both. Like, I done one on my own because I'm not a wish. Yeah. No, I actually wanted to do the tandem one because I done one on my own. It's called what do you call it? A static line one.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that means like the parachutes, the cords attached to the plane.
Oh.
So you jump out and you're only at 2,000 feet. We're still high, but you're at 2,000 feet and the parachute opens straight away and then you can guide yourself down.
Right.
Whereas the one, like if you do the tandem, that's when you're attached to somebody.
Yeah.
That's like 10,000 feet. So that I didn't get the free fall. So I didn't get that. So I'd love to get back and do like
that's
a
kind of what
tandem one.
I would like
Because you get that.
to feel that,
aye.
yeah.
So I was just out of this. I spent most of my time on the way down going, shit. I was looking forward to it, but this, I was focusing because there's a wee guy like there. So you're kind of you go down like that. So you don't fall straight down, you kind of go down at a slight angle.
Yeah.
And they have a wee guy on the ground guiding you. He's got big kind of
lightsabers.
paddles. Lightsabers. He's got lightsabers. Then he slices you up. So he's got lightsabers guiding you. So you put a red one, you go that way. And then so you can go that way and that way.
Yeah.
And it guides you down. I actually flew over him at one point and shit myself because I was going towards trees. And I didn't know what to do. I panicked. But then it says, I got to a point where you could hear me. All I had to do was turn it around. And because you're that kind of...
Who'd have thunk?
What's
the other option here?
I mean, you don't know that. You're kind of you're just thinking, I've not got a man to tell me what to do. What do I do?
Although they probably did tell you before you jumped out of the plane what you should do.
Probably, but aye.
But that's what I think. I imagine that your nerves would kick in and you'd forget what you were told.
Aye.
That's why I'd rather do it tandem.
Aye. It was great though. I was like, I felt once I got on the ground, I was fine. I never broke legs or anything like that. But on the way back, I nearly went to the Mars. And I almost broke my legs. Just walked by and tripped. Like walking back to the base with my parachute.
Yeah.
I tripped with my arse. But
I've actually booked kinda one of my fuckets that we talked about on my list.
Cool.
Remember I said I want to drive an F1 car?
Right.
I'm not going to drive an F1 car, but I've Ainsley's dad got me like a track day thing for Christmas.
Right.
You get to pick 3 cars, one of which is a Fjord Mustang.
That sounds cool, isn't it?
I'm driving a Mustang, some kind of Lamborghini, and some kind of mad Nissan Skyline.
So where'd you do that then? That sounds good.
It's up near St Andrews, I think. Anstrutherish area.
I think you can get days where you can drive a Formula One car as well.
I've seen some that's like a
red letter days or some of those.
Aye.
Yeah. It's kind of older, decommissioned F1 cars. I want to get like in one now at a real race.
Yeah.
I think we should just go and steal one with a real fuck it.
It's not like they cost millions.
But steal it up. You know what? Why you're a Formula One car? You up for it?
You don't even need to hotwire it. They're not got keys. They just turn on.
Oh, do they?
Aye.
See,
But they don't just keep them in like a Tesco car park.
All right. Where can we get one?
There's plenty of their factories in England. We'll find one.
Right, let's go. Right, so we're doing a fuck it, a fake it tonight. We're just going to get a car and steal it.
It's fine. I'll catch up with your antics on
Be the getaway driver.
Police 6 or whatever it is. Do you remember that? Police 6, was it? Or Police 5? It was where they did the...
I didn't even see the first four.
We're after these people. These are the most wanted people.
No.
No, I've never seen it.
Maybe I dreamt that. Did I make that up?
I like that word you made up.
I'm going to have to check that
the
after.
border thing that like two's made up collectively.
What, fjord? Fjord?
Fjord.
And actually, if you're in Norway, you probably say it like that. Fjord.
Fjord. She does accents as well.
Famously.
She does like
I do
accents.
a Northern Irish one really well.
Do your full on Northern Irish accent? You've got a kind of posh Northern Irish accent.
God, definitely not posh, but
100%.
give me something to say and I'll say it in my accent.
Pretend you're angry at me and I've done something. What have I done? I've done.
Would you stop bullying that boy over there right now?
It's him that's bullying me.
Lies.
He's bullying me.
Dead on.
I can't do accents. That was all right, wasn't it? I can't do it.
I mean, that's another thing that people do in my presence. You know, they won't have an Irish accent, but after speaking to me for 10 minutes, they'll start saying, "Is that right, Bernie? Is that right?"
I take the piss out of you. I hate that. I hate when you go down to England or something, people try and do Scottish accents. Like, fuck off.
But I mean, I think it's more in fun than taking the piss, you know, but it's one of those accents that people seem to want to mimic.
It's quite I like it.
When you were in Belfast, did they greet you with, "What about you?"
I've had a few of them, yeah.
Yeah, what about you? That's very Belfast.
What team do you support?
Nobody dared ask that. I think when you hear this accent, you maybe don't want to get into that. But.
It's always Partick Thistle, you're over there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot different than it was when I was growing up in the Troubles. It's a lot more open, but it's still under the surface. There very much. It'll take generations for that to
Aye.
Yeah, the last time I was over there about a month ago, I went to Lavery's Comedy Club, and pretty much every act is doing like jokes about still doing jokes about
the
that.
Troubles. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Aye.
think
And it's not even necessarily touristy. It was like a Thursday night.
Yeah.
It wasn't
This was
busy,
a mixed crowd then that's in it. It's kind of.
just as
Yeah,
if any of
'cause-
us went to like the Stand on a Thursday night in
Yeah.
Glasgow. But then think about it, you probably would get a lot of folk doing stuff about like football-based sectarian
Yeah.
stuff in
Aye.
Glasgow.
Yeah.
It's a similar kind of thing, isn't it?
and also Northern Ireland is a very small place.
Yeah.
And it'll take. It's very insular as well
Aye.
because it's not in the minds of some people. It's not part of the Republic of Ireland, and it's a distance from the UK, so
Aye.
it's a very insular
Aye.
place. And I think that's why those things are still kind of running, because it'll take a long time in
Oh,
a
aye.
community
Yeah.
like that for it to change. I mean, it's changed loads.
Aye. Yeah, I can't remember. The last probably about 15, 20 years since the last time I was over there.
It's a lovely place to go,
Oh, I
and
loved it,
Belfast is a
aye.
great city. I went to Queen's in Belfast. Sorry, high achiever. In the 80s. And
No way.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah,
it.
it's
Stop
true. And in fact, in the early 80s, I might add. And we stayed around the Students' Union the whole time. We never went into the city centre
Aye.
at night because there was nothing happening. I mean,
Really?
it's hard to believe when you go into the city centre now and it's thriving. It was closed. There were barricades round about it, and nothing was open in the city centre at
It's too
night time.
scary. Or,
Well, because of the troubles and places were getting bombed and things like that. So Belfast was a hot spot, literally. And then during the day, if we were going into the city to shop, you had to go walk through the barricades, and you were frisked by security who was either RUC at the time, which was
Aye.
the police force then, or British Army didn't really frisk you, but they were there with the guns, and there were female security to frisk females
aye.
and male for males, and you had to open your bag and show them your bag in case you were carrying
mad,
a
isn't it?
bomb or an incendiary device.
and that was
or
just going
whatever.
out shopping.
Yeah, that was just going into the city, and it was just what you did. We didn't give it a second thought. Now, when I think back on it, I think, oh my God, that was awful, really.
It's crazy. See,
Yeah.
I went over there. I remember, like, I was doing a stock taking job in Northern Ireland. I used to go to, it was Woolworths.
Yeah.
Used to do the
yeah.
stock taking. Used to go over there for a week and do different places. And I remember it was like Enniskillen or something I was
Yeah.
in. And the troubles weren't too, but it was kind of near the end of the troubles, I think. There's still the occasional thing happening. But I remember walking down the street, like we were having a break, just going to get some food, and just watching a soldier
Yeah.
walking down the street with a machine gun.
Uh-huh.
I was going, imagine he tripped and just.
Yeah. I mean, we used to see that every single day.
Aye.
And we'd be driving somewhere, and they would jump out of the hedge and flag cars down. And I mean, if it was my dad who was driving, and there were I've got 6 siblings, so there might be 2 or 3 of us in the car. They tended not to bother, and they would wave us on. But if it was a young man,
Aye,
they would
aye.
pull them over to the side, get them out of the car, empty the car out.
I just
You
in case he's
know,
a terrorist or like,
Yeah, they were
whatever.
they were always looking for
I've still even
terrorists.
I've had the mirror under the car when I'm getting on the
Yeah.
ferry occasionally.
Yeah, they still do
Still a
that,
bit of that.
actually.
I think
Yeah,
it's just I think they just do a sort of random
yeah,
selection maybe, but
Yeah.
maybe just again young guy driving on his
Aye.
own still
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Because like maybe in the last year I've been over 3 or 4 times, and twice they've checked the car
Yeah.
quite thoroughly just
Yeah.
getting on the ferry. So
That's mad, isn't it?
yeah. So, we just lived like that at the time, but now looking back, it seems crazy.
It's life, isn't it? It's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
And I only seen the kind of tail end of it. You know, I remember going. My mum was always worried that I was going to Belfast, and she's like,
yeah,
"Aye."
yeah, because it had that reputation.
And I think I remember at the time, like this is like it was just that's when mobile phones started, right? And I remember I was going to phone my mum one night. Just you get these mad thoughts. My mum would phone me just to see if I was all right. I was going to phone her, and you get these intrusive thoughts. I was going to scream and just turn my phone off.
That would be a terrible thing to do to your mum of all
I'd
people.
phone her back for about
Yeah.
a week.
for fuck's sake.
I just dropped my phone. It was fine, but I didn't do it.
Yeah. So anyway, glad that things are changing there too.
Right, will we finish here, Chris?
Yeah, sounds good.
Finish on that bright note
Bright
of
note
the
of
troubles.
The troubles of
It always
Northern
comes,
Ireland.
always comes back to the troubles.
Yeah.
So go and
Well, I'll
see.
tell you what one good thing about the troubles was, and this links in with education. If I ever wanted to get out of English or maths, all I had to do was get one of my pals to phone in a bomb scare.
Yeah, she's done a bit of material there. For
If
this
you know,
thing.
you know.
You know, that's a callback to about 2 months ago. Good bit of material though. But did you actually do that though?
No, I never, and none of my friends did because we were high achievers. But yeah, it happened. It happened a few times where the fire alarm would go off and we'd have to go out and stand in the playground until the security forces had been in to say the building was safe.
All right.
Do you know the difference between the fire alarm going off if it's a fire and a bomb scare?
Nah.
In a fire, you leave everything behind and leave. In a bomb scare, you take everything with you, so it makes it easier for them to see if there's
Right.
a device there.
Because you need to get through everybody's bag to take
Yeah.
them. I get that.
Every day is a school
See,
day.
we've learned something there.
Yeah,
It's been an educational
and
episode.
fjord as well. You
Yeah,
learned
I've
that.
learned loads of stuff today.
Yeah,
man.
I want you to look that up.
that-
Write it out 10
will,
times
I
and
will
put it
do.
in a sentence.
Go if you forget lines.
Get lines. So go and see Bernie, and when is the gig?
Sunday, 26th of May.
Sunday, 26th of May, and Blackfriars. It's always a good gig, by the
Yeah.
way. It's like
Yep.
that went a few months ago. One of their ones last year, it was great.
Yeah.
And Viv's a great compere.
She is,
and
she's
it's
good, yeah.
it's always a good night.
Uh-huh.
And go and do your parachute jump. And
I
your,
will.
And what was the other one?
Tattoo.
Tattoo. So I want to see Bernie with a parachute jump and a tattoo.
Jumping out of a plane while showing off
With
my
a
tattoo.
Aye.
Have you got any more gigs at all planned after Viv's?
No, but there's a couple of people who said I'll be in touch, and
Cool.
I think they will.
What about
so-
Teresa? She been doing a few.
No, she hasn't, because I was away and she's taking driving lessons at the moment, so
All right.
she doesn't drive yet. So she kind of relies on me for the transport, and also with the two wee boys, making sure that
that's fair enough, aye.
her husband is off at the same, not
Aye.
working at the same time, and that kind of thing. So she hasn't done any. We've done a couple together.
Aye.
'cause she's
Has
done-
that
she's-
done the one in Falkirk with you?
That's
Remember?
right.
Aye.
That's right. And she did another one somewhere else, the Macker in Glasgow. We did that one
All right.
Thursday night.
Good.
So yeah, she'll definitely be up for doing more as well. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's us then. So
Aye.
we're finished, and we're going to do my workshop again. So this is out next Thursday.
Yep.
So I've got about four or five spaces left for my workshop, and
It's good.
so Bernie was there, and now she's got a comedy career.
Yeah.
So
Look
starts
at me. I'm a high achiever.
Achiever.
All right.
2nd of June.
only since I met Obi and did the workshop.
I know.
You weren't a doctor or anything before that.
I know. So she's done my workshop. She became a doctor. She's doing a parachute jump.
Doctor of
And
Education.
She's now.
Just to clarify.
She's now doing her tour around the world next year.
Excellent.
But
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, Bernie.
Thanks very much for inviting me. Enjoyed it.
That's been good fun. And then I'm going to the Rubik's Cube now.
Here he goes. Right. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.